Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by lineups.com. It's Tuesday, and we are here with you guys for 7 games in the NBA tonight. We are going to be taking a look at some best bets that we have on the sides and totals. Also have our player prop looks here for you, so make sure you are subscribed to that channel, bringing this action to you each and every weekday moving forward this season. Let's get into the last game of the slate and kick it off with the Jazz at home versus the Clips. And you like the Clips to handle business. I think Lowry's still questionable, right?
Yeah, for return to competition conditioning, which is, a strange designation to say the least. But for me, it's the fact that they're sitting Keontae George for rest, and he's 24 years old. It's just an outright tip of we're tanking, and I mean their offense has been so dependent on Keontae George. Also really dependent on Nurkic on both sides of the ball, for what that's worth. But yeah, so much for the home Jazz. Either way, I mean, they're 1-3 in their last 4 at home, -24 net. They gave up that 150 spot to Charlotte. That was without Nurkic. They just tend to get absolutely walloped down low without Nurk. And so I was looking at Zoo to get a double-double in the win as well here. I just don't think the Jazz are going to be able to keep pace scoring-wise without Keontae George. That's how you would take advantage of an LAC team that is mostly bad against ISO, but has just been on their P's and Q's everywhere during this hot stretch. I mean, they're number 2 defense in the last 16, number 5 net rating overall, and Kawhi got whatever he wanted against Utah. Of course, I'm fine with it, even if Kawhi doesn't play. I mean, if you want to wait on this and then you can grab it at a couple points lower, I just think Harden will carve these boys up. John Collins going to keep being motivated against the former squad. Zoo to get big down low, and the Jazz to just not be able to clap back with any offense. Certainly if Markkanen's out, I mean, the Jazz, I don't know where they're going to get offense against a disciplined defense.
I don't either. Isaiah Collier will do his best to dime up. He's not a shooter. I don't know. I truly don't know. I guess Bryce Sensabaugh and Ace Bailey would be where I turn to as just guys that will be out there firing, if you're asking that question. But I don't have any qualms with a team coming into this Jazz squad there was a great tweet that came out when they had Keontae George had his first sort of questionable tag recently, or out tag, where it was just clearly just a phantom tag of some kind. And the tweet was just all right, hey, thanks for the season, Keontae, good sailing to you, my friend, the rest of the year, because we know you're back on this nonsense that we're going to see with the Jazz moving forward. But I'm taking the Pelicans. Plus 14.5. Come along for the ride if you dare. And if I just talk to you for 1 sec about what's been going on over the last roughly 10 games for both these teams, I don't think it'll be as scary as it sounds. This stat really jumped out to me. The Pelicans haven't lost by 15 points since January 7th, when they lost to the Hawks on the road. They've only played 3 home games since January 7th. They've been on the road for almost all of those games. They have not lost, like I said, by even double digits more than one time in these last 10 games outside of the Atlanta game. They lost by 17 there, and they lost by 10 to Orlando. And other than that, they have won a handful and lost by, like I said, inside double digits. And what drew me to just check on this stuff at first was I was looking at the starting lineup for the Pelicans in this game, and I was like, wait, this is the team that we thought we were going to see at the beginning of the year. We thought we were going to have Zion out there. Maybe we didn't know Derek Queen would make this type of leap, but we knew that we finally have him alongside Trey Murphy. Herb Jones is healthy, playing at the 2 at this point. Trey Murphy, a little bit of point. And Jeremiah Fears is out there as well, but he's also getting 20, 25 minutes. We're getting the normal guys that we expected to get. And it was a team that definitely was considered capable of competing in that division, at least for most of the season that they were healthy, if they were healthy. Now you look at the way that they've been playing with Zion in the starting lineup, getting consistently in the low 30s in the minutes, and then Trey Murphy also shooting lights out for sure over the course of those last 10 games, but taking on a higher usage overall and actually stepping up in these last 10, where he's now actually getting 18 to 20 shots with more consistency rather than consistently seeing him ran at 12 shots. And you're like, wait, no, dude, you have to have the usage here. So when you look at who's out for OKC on the other side, they've obviously struggled. 2 losses in a row for the first time now against both at home, by the way. They lost to that Indy team by 3, and then Orlando in the last game by 2. Really low scoring affairs. This one at about 233.5, but they're once again without just a bevy of guys, including J-Dub, and really J-Dub's replacement on offense, AJ Mitchell, who was the guy taking the J-Dub role. Once you have both of them out, now this team's net rating with both of those guys off the floor at the same time over the last 10 games, and they've missed the last like 2 or 3, is actually a just right above even, right? It's like plus 1.7 net rating. Not going to get it done for a 15-point win. So I'll take the dogs on the road here.
Yeah, no Caruso, no Hardenstein still, of course, and Kason Wallace questionable on top of that. For the Thunder, we've been scraping by and also just like not really like showing up, unless it's like a rivalry game or some sort of like high stakes game. They're just kind of like coasting. I mean, the back-to-back losses makes you think they're going to bounce back with a win. I think it's their first back-to-back home loss, you're saying, because they did have back-to-back losses earlier this month, and then they won, but they needed overtime to beat the Jazz. So it's not like they just came in and laid the smack down right after that. So I think it's a fine look here with all the points. Expect the Sixers to win here, and Embiid keep doing what he's been doing after getting a night off. I mean, he was able to go 46 and 36 minutes in those with only 1 day of rest in between. So he's clearly back to some sort of high level here in terms of fitness and injury load management, in terms of being able to manage his own load on those knees. And the Bucks, they're coming to town here against a Sixers team that was embarrassed just yesterday in Charlotte and in a weird afternoon start in a getaway game. Now they're going to come back home, almost certainly beat a Bucks team that's 3-11 without Giannis and averages just 106 a game. And it's just all sorts of awful net rating stats to look at. And they don't have KPJ to pick up any of that slack offensively. So you don't need to put the Sixers down to 3.5 necessarily, but I think it is, a good number to get to here and hope that Embiid does get a little bit of fourth quarter run. But either way, I mean, he's averaging about a point per minute in the first half. He's somebody who started hot lately. It's a good matchup. Bucks D in the last 10, allowing the 5th highest field goal percentage in the paint, allowing the 4th most in the short midi range, like 10 to 15 feet, right where Embiid likes to operate. He's, had 37 plus PR, which is his prop tonight, in 7 straight healthy games against Miles Turner. He's hit for 25 plus in 8 of his last 9 at home, the exception being when they got blown out by the Cavs. And I think unless it's a blowout win here where the Sixers absolutely run away with it, then I think, either way, he still might get the 25 because he might do it in 3 quarters.
Yeah, no, I can easily see that. This is a matchup that he should have no trouble with. This game shouldn't be much trouble, as we know now with all those guys out. Interesting to see both KPJ and Giannis just sitting again. And I know it's health reasons, what have you, but I don't know what's going on in Milwaukee, and I definitely feel good about Philly tonight in this win. I mean, the only thing you could say is the off chance that it's just like all of the others are just like step up and do it and win big. But this team has been atrocious with Giannis off the floor, like a negative. It's like a difference of a 20, I believe, net rating between him on court and off court, like plus 10 versus minus 10. So do with that what you will against a Philly team that should be a lot more ready than they were on the front end of a back-to-back. But Detroit and Denver to close it out. And I am going to take the Pistons on the road here, man. Like they're fully healthy too. And they're just sort of coming along now with guys like Jaden Ivey getting a bit more time. And obviously Tobias has been back for a bit now. Jalen Duren has been healthy as well. And with a pretty clean report tonight, like I'm going to feel pretty good about them and the way that they've been handling business against teams that, I mean, I'm not going to call Denver bad in any way, shape, or form, but they are going to be missing Aaron Gordon and Christian. I mean, Christian Brown's been out, but Aaron Gordon taking the seat tonight. And you start to look around and you just kind of go, okay, well, for these matchups here for Denver, for Detroit, what they're going to do really well is they're just going to shut down all of your wings as best they can. They're going to throw Osar on Jamal and just have him chase around consistently. And they're just going to have a ton more guys to throw out, right? Like their second unit is going to be consistently going up against guys that are now maybe they wouldn't be in the rotation if they weren't playing, because without Aaron Gordon, once again, now you're talking about a lot more Zeke Naji. We're probably going to have to see some Duran Holmes. There's just not going to be much down low for Beef Stew and Jalen Duren, who, in addition to, like I said, shutting down the wings that they've done really well in the 3-point line, they've also just been a wagon down low, not giving up any second chance points, not giving anybody sort of the opportunity to sort of get back into transition. They've been doing a lot of the sprint back into transition, Greg Popovich style defense that we've seen before. So I trust this Pistons defense on the road. They've been an absolute house on the road as well, winning consistently by at least 7 points here in their last handful. They've been playing at home a lot, but in their last 4 road games, they have covered as well. So I'm feeling pretty good about them in this one.
Yeah, I mean it's the defense that I lean on for sure. You got a 216 total. There's a strong correlation between the Pistons winning and games being low scoring. So I mean, if you do want to connect those two in some way and get a little parlay action, that makes sense. But also think, yeah, I agree that All-Star is going to do a good job on Jamal Murray, and 27 and a half points is really high, even though like he's clearly the top option here. And Aaron Gordon being out, you might think like, oh, that gives him even more usage. It hasn't really correlated in the stats. I mean, he's actually had fewer assists without AG. The usage rate is about the exact same, and while he's spiked a lot with Jokic out, I mean, you look at some of the matchups, like what were his overs? Is like Wiz, Mavs, Pelicans, and Cavs. So those are horrendous defense. He barely got there against the Lakers with a out of body experience. Now you're facing a defense that's just absolutely elite against point guards. Top four in the league, along with OKC, Houston, Phoenix, teams that have also given Jamal trouble. And I mean, tied third in terms of limiting the pick and roll ball handler from scoring. Number two, limiting the ISO man from scoring. Number one, limiting assists. But I'm not tacking those on because I do think the ball will be in his hands enough and they might force it out a little bit here and see who else can hit shots at home. I just don't think he's going to be able to go for 28 here, coming off a little bit of a layoff, right? I mean, and the last time he had to come back from the layoff, he did go for 35 against the Pels. It's just a different story here. And you look at the larger sample last year, he actually had a declining offensive rating the more days rest he had, kind of a rhythm guy, maybe you could say, down to on 3+ days rest last year. He was at a 19 points per game on a 110 offensive rating. So actually way worse than back-to-backs or one-day rest. There might be a little adjustment period here as the Nuggets get yet another combination in, and the Pistons are just not giving up anything easy to the number one option.
Yeah, he has to do crazy things to get there at this point, and the less help isn't even necessarily going to be good for him. He's already got the usage, but if you can just focus even more guys on him, then yeah, you're just going to collapse everything on Jamal Murray. And I don't know, 28 points just because it's just that high because it's just the usage. But yeah, against the defense, I'll go ahead and take the other way on that one. This is a matchup play as well. I got Jalen Brunson on the dimes. I think there's a good correlation to play here with the under on the points at 28.5 and an over on the dimes. This is just, it's how Sack plays defense, and it's really like primary ball handlers. Just if you are the guy who has the ball in his hands consistently against his team, then they're just going to try to take that away. They're trying to take away your scoring. They're going to try to keep you from even being able to get past the first level of defense because they don't have a second level of defense to be able to stop you. That's why they've actually had to bring Precious Achiuwa in the lineup. I know Domas is back, but my main point is when Maxime Reynaud has been the guy down low, it's going to lead to some pretty bad stats protecting the rim. That said, like I said, I think they're going to try to get the ball out of his hands a bit early. If you look at the last game, obviously he did not get very many minutes in that. He played like 5 minutes before he got hurt in that last game. That was the one he went down for a few. And then Deuce came in, played 30 minutes, had 14 potential assists, got 6 of them. I would argue, right, you put Jalen Brunson out there, you're going to have Deuce now as the shooter, as opposed to having to rely on Mikal Bridges, which is tough for me as a Knicks fan to say his name, knowing what we gave up for him. And he has scored 20 points one time in the last 25 games, has Mikal Bridges. But Jalen Brunson being around should be helpful. I know Kat's been vocal. It's once every 3 weeks with him being vocal about how he's not getting involved enough. We'll see how that adds up. But I just think it's a defense. It's really a defensive mind to play. Like you look at the guys who you would consider similar to Jalen Brunson in usage, touches guys like Cade or Donnie, even like IQ, Bob Carrington when he was playing with nobody. These are the last like 4 point guards to play against them, all averaging about a 20% increase in their assists per game when they played against this team. So it's definitely the way that they're collapsing on the guards, and I'll take him for the assist. And like I said, I'd be fading the high point total.
Yeah, and might be fading the Kings as well here. I mean, we were trying to take the Mike Brown revenge narrative in Sac. The Knicks get smacked. They sucked for that entire week and a little bit coming back home, but now back home with the double revenge narrative, I think they can cover this 13.5. I mean, Domantas Sabonis has been ruled out as well, so that's going to factor into what you're saying with them going down low against Reynaud and whoever else they're going to throw out there. Aaron Wiggins going to step up for OKC, the skeleton crew. He actually led the team in passes last game against Toronto. So I'm adding the assists here. It's 13.5 points with more juice, but I think you can tack on 2 assists here. He kind of jumps into that J-Dub spot. I mean, I won't say the same role, but he is the third playmaker in this particular iteration of the Thunder. Because like you said, AJ Mitchell, the Dub replacement this year, also out. And that's going to be a huge correlation. But with just without Dub, 21% usage rate, 28 minutes per game for Wiggins. He's actually played 2 without Cason Wallace, and 19.5 points per game, 34 minutes per game. The last 3 against the Pelicans, he actually started for J-Dub and had good numbers there. He started in game 82, which, I guess you can throw out if you want, because he was the lead man there, and 24 points off the bench in another blowout where J-Dub actually played. So that adds up to, really good numbers against the Pels, 22 points a game, 3 dimes, 47% from 3. He just got hooked on this number against Toronto and Cleveland. Tougher matchups for wings for sure. The Pels, they don't have much defensively beyond Herb Jones, who should be draped on SGA if he's allowed to play a full slate of minutes, and the Pels are not monitoring that. But I just think he's going to step up alongside these big 2, SGA and Chet, and have to take on some of that role, usage, pick up some of the slack at home for the Thunder.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's him, it's Isaiah Joe. Those are the 2 guys I'd be assuming are going to step up, but it would make more sense to see Wiggins in that starting lineup now again, and playing at least like the 25 to 30. So yeah, the secondary guy, the offense is just needed. Like, you sometimes worry about Wiggins minutes when everybody's around, and as soon as you get a spot where you're like, well, his floor is going to be mid 20s, then you feel really good about Wiggs getting and 20 plus being a very reasonable look here as well, especially in the potential blowout. But Mitch Rob, I'm going back to Knicks props here. I just like both these guys in this matchup here, and I don't know, I'll just keep doing this for Mitch Rob. I'm blindly pushing 8.5. It has not gone up. There's some books that are going to hold 9.5 for like plus 115, but this dude has gotten 9+ rebounds in 8 of his last 9, as well as 10 of his last 12. The 2 games that he failed to get the boards, they won by 54 against the Nets, and he played 17 minutes, still had 7 boards in 17 minutes, and then had a tough game against Embiid and the Sixers the other day when the first game that they played at the beginning of January, when they lost by 11 in that one without Josh Hart, and we expected him to get a few more minutes in that one, but whatever. I lost. That was a bet I lost, but I've hit every single time with him. So I'm just going to continue doing it. It's not even like the rebound chances are low. The minutes fluctuate anywhere from basically 19 to like 25, 26. He played 27 in this last game with the Embiid matchup there. Obviously, you don't necessarily need him, and he's still going to be coming. There's a world where you don't necessarily need him, I should say, because of the 13.5 point spread, but he is the backup center. He is the only guy that protects the rim, I would also add. Zach LaVine is questionable. He's the guy you most worry about. And Russ is still out there too to drive towards the bucket. So I think even in 19 minutes, man, this is a 9 to 10 rebound guy in 19 minutes, and that's his floor. So I'll just go ahead and take it against one of the bottom 3 rebounding teams in the league.
Yeah, and as mentioned, Sabonis being out, it's not going to help their rebounding. This number, I think, is up to minus 130 in most spots, and you could get plus 110 on the 10 boards, right? I mean, if you want to go up for a little bit juice, it seems possible he just like does one of those 6 offensive rebound type games and just gets there that way.
Yeah, I mean it's minus 125 on FanDuel, and it's also it's plus 117 or so if you want the 10 plus for him as well. I'm good with either of those numbers. It's 6 half one dozen the other. It's same thing. I know I messed up that saying, but that is all the time we have for you guys in this one. Definitely make sure to subscribe to the channel. We got 9 games on Wednesday and a pretty full slate throughout the week, which is nice. So we'll be back each and every weekday, and until we see you next, happy betting.